All right, Proverbs 25. Let's call this one Sketches and subtitle it Good News. In this proverb that once again seems to, maybe more than most proverbs we've seen to this point, focus on the way in which we speak, both the bad, the ugly side, and the good. The good news seeming to be the dominant theme. In this proverb, where we will once again seem to have a bookend structure, the proverb beginning and ending with talks of glory, talking in the first few verses about the way in which the glory of God is to conceal matters or to create mysteries. However, the glory of kings is to search those things, sometimes those mysteries, out, as in the end of the proverb. Maybe not the very last verse, but the second to last verse is going to say, on the other hand, it is not glorious to seek one's own glory. A similar sentiment we will see in other portions of the Bible that warn us quite simply about the danger of patting ourselves on the back. And so he says, true glory for a king and likewise for us is to seek out those things that God has kept mysterious, but he is still willing to help us understand. And in between, we're going to see a lot of wisdom here, but I want to focus on the Proverbs that talk about the way in which we speak, understanding that there is a lot of value in the rest of these verses. So please read this chapter, or at least listen to it on your own, as we focus on the ones that help us understand more wisely how to speak. In verses 6 through 10, giving us warnings about hasty speech, or being, once again, too quick to bring a matter up without enough evidence or flat out facts. As verses 18 and 19 are going to likewise warn us about the danger of false words, as we have seen over and over again in the Proverbs. And as we have said before, very similar to what we have seen in the Psalms and going back even before the Psalms, quite possibly to the Genesis. And then in verse 23, it once again is going to give us a warning similar to what we saw in the last chapter about the danger of backbiting. But those warnings aside, there is a section in the middle that talks about the blessings, or largely talks about the blessings that can come from fit words. Verse 11 talking about a word that is fitly spoken in the way that it can bring blessings. Verse 12 talking about the way in which a wise reprover is just a huge or a healthy fit with a listening ear. Verse 13 talking about the way in which a faithful messenger can be a genuine blessing, with a brief pause to give us another warning about the way in which boasting about giving a gift that we fail to give can simply provide disappointment. But picking back up with verse 15, talking about the way in which patience added to wisdom can produce persuasion. And finally, in verse 25, he will tell us, like cold water to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far country. And I will be presumptuous enough to add, I think good news even from a near country, even right in our own neighborhood, can sometimes give us just enough to get to the next day. Understanding that I had the blessing of listening to a licensed counselor pull in some of us as clergy to help us understand ways in which we can help encourage people through certain types of depression, and a specific type of depression. I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but I will say the thing that he left us with, or our takeaway, was our key to helping is not only pointing them towards those who can give them deeper counsel, but God willing, providing them enough hope to provide a bridge to either a person or people who might possibly be able to improve their entire outlook on life. Which is why we sometimes say, my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that beyond simply groping for the right things to say in tough times, that God, please give us the wisdom to understand the kinds of words that might offer people genuine hope.